He's been called a genius, a monster, a man possessed by demons no director could tame. Klaus Kinski didn't just play villains, he was one, on screen and off. A man whose fury could light up a scene or burn it to the ground. And now, decades after his death, the horrifying truth is still unfolding. Before we move on, drop your state in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. And tell us, who do you think is the most insane actor in Hollywood history? Klaus Kinski entered the world already surrounded by conflict. Born Klaus Günther Karl Naksinski in 1926 in what was then the Free City of Danzig, his early years were overshadowed by the looming presence of World War II. He fought in the German army, but fate intervened. He was captured by British forces and locked away in a POW camp. That's where it began. Behind barbed wire and under constant surveillance, Kinski found his first audience. He performed in makeshift prison camp theaters, not for fame, but for survival. The rage inside him found an outlet, and the stage would never be safe again. From stage to screen, the rise of a madman. After the war, he changed his name and reinvented himself. Kinski dove into theater with feral intensity, clawing his way into post-war German cinema. He wasn't just acting, he was possessed. Directors didn't know whether to cast him or run from him. But his energy was magnetic. Audiences couldn't look away. His eyes burned. His voice trembled with menace. There was always something off, something wrong, and it only made him more compelling. Spaghetti westerns and global fame. In 1965, the world met Klaus Kinski in For a Few Dollars More. The film was a hit, but Kinski stood out. He wasn't playing a villain, he was one. Cold, calculating, unpredictable. His screen presence was like a bomb with a cut fuse, ticking, dangerous, waiting to explode. Hollywood took notice, but it was Europe, especially the dark corners of art house cinema, where Kinski truly thrived.
Das gehört zu allem. Das gehört zu allem.
Then came Werner Herzog, a visionary director, a man who saw something in Kinski no one else dared to touch. Together, they made art that bled. Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu, the Vampire, Fitzcarraldo. Masterpieces, yes, but born from chaos. Behind the scenes, Kinski screamed, raged, destroyed sets. Herzog once claimed he had to threaten Kinski with a gun just to get him to finish a scene. Their partnership was a battlefield, but from the wreckage, they created some of the most haunting images in cinema history. Herzog would later call him a monster and a genius, and maybe he was right. Rage behind the camera. But it wasn't just Herzog. Kinski clashed with everyone, directors, crew, co-stars. He's on Children. On set, he was volcanic. A single line could trigger a meltdown. Fists flew. Cameras were smashed. He said he didn't act like a human being. He acted like a man being devoured by something bigger. But the cameras kept rolling, because when Kinski was on, he was unstoppable. A family built on fear. Off-screen, things were no better. He married 3 times. Each marriage dissolved under the pressure of his violent mood swings and obsession with control. He had 3 children. Paula, Nastasia, and Nikolai all became actors, all carried his blood and his scars. Paula would later describe her childhood as a constant nightmare. And Nastasia, despite achieving fame of her own, never fully escaped the weight of her father's shadow. Years after his death, the most chilling revelation emerged, not from a co-star, but from his daughter Paula. In her memoir, she accused Kinski of repeated, horrifying abuse. Her words were raw, devastating. She described a father who blurred all boundaries, who screamed, threatened, and dominated every room. Kinski never faced charges, but the damage was done. Her testimony painted a picture far worse than the roles he played on screen. Predator on set. The Spanish director speaks out. In 1985, while filming The Night of the Dragon, Kinski's behavior went beyond disturbing. Spanish director Fernando Colomo later accused Kinski of attempting to assault actress Maria L'Amour. This wasn't hearsay. It was a first-hand accusation from a man who watched it unfold. And it wasn't an isolated event. Colomo wasn't the only one. Rumors of assault and harassment followed Kinski for years, whispered by actresses and crew who were too terrified to speak out publicly. Until it was too late. Kinski's demons weren't just behavioral, they were clinical. In 1950, he was institutionalized after attempting to strangle a woman who had once supported his career. Doctors initially suspected schizophrenia, but the final diagnosis was chilling. Psychopathy, coldness, lack of empathy, aggression, a textbook case of antisocial personality disorder. And it explained everything. His violence, his cruelty, his inability to connect. He wasn't method acting, he was exposing himself. As the industry caught on, the roles stopped coming. By the mid-1950s, Kinski was nearly blacklisted. His name invoked fear, not excitement. He attempted suicide twice in a single year. Even his own mind had turned against him. But somehow he clawed his way back. Not by changing, but by embracing the monster within. A death without redemption. On November 23, 1991, Klaus Kinski died of a heart attack in his California home. No warning, no drama, just silence. He was 65. His ashes were scattered into the Pacific, far from the chaos he left behind. But what was most telling? Only one of his children attended the funeral, Nikolai, alone. The others stayed away. And maybe that was the clearest verdict of all. Can art justify evil? Even today, directors praise his performances. Film students dissect his work. His face appears in retrospectives, film festivals, and midnight movie marathons. But the truth lingers, rotting just beneath the surface. Can you celebrate a man who destroyed lives on and off set? Can you separate the art from the artist when the artist was the monster? Klaus Kinski didn't wear a mask, he was the mask. A man who brought madness to life because he lived it every day. His story is a warning, a reminder that brilliance and brutality often walk hand in hand, and that sometimes the most unforgettable performances come from the darkest souls.